Okay, it says I'm live. Let's see. We'll give it like 15 seconds or so, and see if it actually goes. There we go. All right. So today I have for you to open up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original sketch Michelangelo, and there he is in the package. And I'm going to say this up front. You're going to address the elephant in the room. This is not actually the original sketch of a Ninja Turtle. This is and in fact it has the original Ninja Turtle sketch there on the back that was done by Kevin Eastman to amuse Peter Laird, and then Peter Laird did his own version of a Ninja Turtle. And you can see they've got the nunchucks strapped to the forearm on both of these. We'll address that later because they don't have hands. They don't have hands in these original sketches. They've just got like regular turtle claws with no opposable thumbs, and there's no way that they could have been able to grab a nunchuck. So it's just kind of strapped to the forearm. That was the joke. But I guess when they decided to, they came up with the idea, let's make a whole team of them. They're mutants, so maybe they should have opposable thumbs and fingers. But we're only giving them 2 fingers. They're going to have a hand that looks like Mr. Spock's salute. That's what we're going to do. And it says on here, original sketch, reprint included. So that's the first time. Technically, it's the original sketch of, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they became an actual team, when they decided to draw a team of these boys. And you can see old nunchuck turtles in the back. And this guy in the front with a katana. This guy over here spinning his sai. And this guy over here with a bow staff. So we know who each of these turtles would eventually become. Although I don't know if they had names yet when they were doing this sketch. But obviously, when they decided to flesh the idea out, they got the idea to name them after Renaissance painters. And this guy was named after Michelangelo, but they pronounce it Michelangelo. I guess most people say Michelangelo, but I think technically it was pronounced Michelangelo. They make a joke about that in the Lego movie. I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, nice design of the box here. Collect all 4 to recreate the iconic sketch. And I actually do have all 4 of these. I got all 4 of these. I got a good deal on them. They came in a single box set from Amazon, and I got a ridiculously good deal on these. I saw them on there for $25. I had about $25 worth of gift cards saved up already because I'd been accruing some gift cards. And I was like, hey, sometimes fortune smiles upon me like that. You can still find this on Amazon, but it's back up to a price of around $50. And honestly, I think $50 is still a pretty good deal for this set because you're getting 4 figures and a comic book for the whole set. And we'll talk more about the comic book in the next episode. But for this episode, I just want to talk about the figure. So like I said, we have the actual original sketch, or at the very least, it's a recreation of the original sketch. I don't know if it's the original sketch. And then Peter Laird's version, I already pointed those out. And then they drew all 4 of these together as a big pinup. And then they decided to make a whole comic book out of them, which was about the Ninja Turtles and how they were trained by Master Splinter to avenge the death of Master Splinter's master, Hamato Yoshi, who was killed by the Shredder, who was avenging the death of his brother, Oroku Nagi. It's a whole big thing. So definitely a really cool looking figure. I'm pretty excited to have this. I remember when I first read the Ninja Turtles comic books, it was in the collected edition that First Comics put out. Mirage self-published all their own issues, but First Comics were the first to reprint them in a collected edition. And those were the ones I read. You could get those in Walded Books type places. And here is the little print of that first sketch in black and white. And you can see something interesting about these figures. If I had bothered to bring the other ones over here to compare to them, while they are based on that original sketch, the coloring of the figures is definitely an homage to those original Playmates figures. And I've got over here, if I can find where I put them, I brought over here with me the remastered version of Michelangelo. I'm trying to see where I put him. Bobby Wall is here, and he says, "No, I'm not going to want to watch the toys that made us Ninja Turtles after your stream." No, I'm going to want to watch. Yeah, you should. It's a great episode. Now, okay, you're correct. Now I'm going to want to watch the toys that made us Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode after the stream. So recently, like my mother, it turned out she had never seen the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, the 1991. So I had her watch that. So I'm like, this is a good movie. Like, I don't care if you're not familiar with the franchise at all. It's just a good movie. It's worth watching because it's a good movie. And she enjoyed it fairly well. And I thought, hey, it might be fun to watch the Toys That Made Us episode so she can see some of the stuff that I was talking about in the background. But yeah, that's definitely one of the best episodes of, maybe the best episode of the Toys That Made Us, I think. So Michelangelo comes with a base, and it's oddly enough shaped kind of like a piece of pizza, but it's not pizza, it's asphalt. Although, considering the weird pizza toppings that the boys enjoyed on the cartoon series, it might as well be asphalt pizza, huh? So, and then he's got this little base for the sketch. You can see a little clip in there, and it's sculpted to look like a shattered vial of mutagen, like the very thing that turned the boys into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as you can see from this handwritten, this hand-drawn logo, which is a little different from what we saw in the actual comic. And the Turtles part of it actually kind of reminds me of like Turtles records and tapes. That I know that was a record store chain that was down here in the Atlanta area. I don't know if they got all the way up to New Hampshire or not, but it might be they still saw a T-shirt of it. Maybe they went down to Atlanta sometime, or somebody from Atlanta went to New Hampshire, had it on a T-shirt or something, and stuck in their brains. I don't know. It's just an interesting. As far as I know, it's a coincidence at this point. And then this other thing, this is something that's unique to Michelangelo because he has his own unique base. Is there's a crate with a plank on it, and the purpose of that is so that we can stand Michelangelo on the crate when we get all four of the boys' bases put together. That way, so there's a small peg and a big peg and a big hole and a small hole. Make your jokes, and then it plugs together that way. So that way, when Michelangelo is standing on it, you know, in the sketch, he looks like he's kind of leaping in the air, but that wouldn't really work for an action figure stand. So they got a box he can stand on instead, so that way he can be in the background and the other boys on there. So he's got accessories like a Ninja Turtle ought to have. And not a whole lot of accessories. There's no weapons tree or throwing stars or anything like that. Instead, we just got the two nunchakus. If I can get those out of the package. And there's a rubber tab holding each of the nunchuck handles in there. And also one holding on the chain. So I had to break that. And you can see it's molded in an orange plastic. It's doing the thing that... you know, we see a lot of the times, I think Classics was what started it, with the idea of the boys having color-coded weapons as well as color-coded bandanas, which they did not in the comic book. Well, you can see the sketch, the original sketch is just in black and white. But when they reprinted it in the first comic, it was a color version of this, and they were colored as they were colored in the comics at the time. All four having the same skin color, and all four having red bandanas. But for these figures, they chose, as I pointed out before, to have them colored like how the original figures were colored in 1988. So it's kind of a double homage, both to this original sketch and to the boys as they would have first appeared in action figure form, which I think is kind of nice. You know, like, honestly, I kind of feel like the Playmates toys, more than anything, are the things that are ultimately responsible for the Turtles going from being like a fairly beloved cult sort of, you know, indie niche comic book. You know, fans like me loved it, but not it took over the whole world because of Playmates toys and because of the cartoon that wouldn't have happened if not for the Playmates toys. So, anywho, made Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird into millionaires and kind of derailed their comic book careers in a lot of ways. But hey, they were rich as hell at that point, so I don't think they I don't think they did too badly. So Michelangelo, like I said, this is a very early interpretation of the boys. So you can see, looking at this original sketch, they're more cartoony and like they got bigger hands and smaller muscles. And in fact, there's barely any muscle on this figure at all. He seems like he's more inspired by, you know, things like Carl Barks and Looney Tunes and things like that. He doesn't look too dissimilar from, say, the tortoise that races Bugs Bunny in the classic short Tortoise Beats Hair from the neck down. He's got that kind of build. Autistic Wrestling Federation is here and says, "Turtle Power!" Sup, Alan? Oh, it's we're hanging in there, man. We're just fighting through here one thing at a time. Now you can see that he does not yet have the full turtle uniform yet. He's got the bandana, check. He's got the elbow pads, check. He's got some wristbands, check. But he is missing the belt and he is missing the knee pads that make the full Ninja Turtle uniform. So yeah, to compare him again with the remastered version of Michelangelo, you can see how well those skin colors match up. Like the green on this guy is a little more towards the yellow side of green than the blue side of green, but it's still that same sort of dark kind of forest green, but he's just like slightly more on the bluish side. So and the orange matches up pretty well. But you can see, like, you know, there were always coloring variants, various color grades as far as like the original toys go. But both of these are based on that original Michelangelo action figure as far as the color scheme goes. But you can see this is Howard Diecast is here and says, hello, I made it. You sure did. So these guys were based a little bit more on the boys as they appeared in issue number 1. But even then, like, I think the feet are still a little bit smaller. And man, I should have thought to bring the NECA Michelangelo over here so I could compare with that one too. But oh well, whatever. But yeah, you can see, like, he's got really big feet and really skinny legs and really skinny arms and really big hands. Like, his hands and feet are much bigger than the figure that Playmates actually eventually made. Like, look at that. I think his hands might even be bigger than the NECA figure hands, but I could be mistaken about that. But yeah, he didn't have a belt yet, and he's the only one of these figures that doesn't have a belt at all. You'll see when I get to the other figures in the upcoming days is that Raphael has a belt, and Leonardo has a belt, and Donatello has like not a belt that goes around his waist, but like a bandolier. But Michelangelo's got nothing. He's just very naked. So he does have storage for his weapons, though. And if you remember from what I just showed you on that sketch, like the actual original drawings of the first Ninja Turtle, he's got the nunchucks still strapped to his forearm as kind of a vestige, a remnant of the original drawing of the Ninja Turtle, who just had the nunchucks strapped to his forearm. So we can, if we want to, he's got little clips on his wristbands to store them. So we can actually have the nunchucks, him just swinging around strapped to his forearm if we wanted to. But those are made so that we can store the nunchucks on the forearms, which I don't know if that's a very practical way to store your nunchucks, but I'm not a ninja, so you know he could be onto something there. But there are the nunchucks in their stored position on the forearms. And I don't know which way you're supposed to have the chains facing, but to me it makes more sense to have the chains facing towards the elbow. I could be mistaken about that. I didn't really notice Yeah, here it has them facing towards the knuckles. But I kind of figured then the chains are all just bumping under your hands and everything. But we'll go ahead and switch them around and have them the way that they're displayed in that original sketch. And I keep wanting to try to put them into the space in between the clips. It seems like it would go in there, but I'm just misinterpreting it. There we go. So that says it should be stored with the chains kind of hanging down from the wrists like that. So there we go. So let's go ahead and see how well he holds the nunchucks in his hands. I'm just going to find every way to pronounce nunchuck that I can. So there we go. And it does pinch them fairly firmly between the forefinger and the thumb, but it doesn't seem to want to go into that second finger. So even though it's holding on to it in such a way where I figure a kid can, swing it around and not worry about losing it, it's not exactly like a tight grip, but it's holding it well enough it's not going to fall out of his hand. So that's fine. We'll go ahead and put the second nunchuck in the right hand. Cowabunga, dude! Actually, I don't say that yet. And I don't talk like Spicoli yet because I haven't done the cartoon. But yeah, so there's what Michelangelo looks like when he's about to kick some foot ass, or whatever. I don't know if they've made up the foot at this point. I don't know if the Foot Clan is even an idea that they had. I don't even know if they had the idea for Great Man yet, let alone the Shredder. So, but yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. So Michelangelo's head does rotate all the way around, of course, and it's got like a hinge at the base of the neck, which is kind of stiff on mine, but I got it to work out. So you can look down about that far and look up about that far. Cannot tilt the head quizzically from side to side. He's not going to be confused, so that's good for him at least. It's not so good for the articulation, but whatever. And then the arms rotate all around the shoulders. But as I mentioned before, he's got these gigantic clunky hands, and those are going to kind of bump into his head a little bit. By the way, I want to say there is a texture. I don't know if you guys are picking this up on the camera, but there is a texture to his skin. I know that it was really controversial, the texture that they put onto the original remastered figures before the smoother ones in the Target set. But it's not as obvious as those. It's a little more subtle, so that's good. So yeah, the arms rotate all around at the shoulder, and they move up to the side about that far. And actually, I think they could move further if the head wasn't in the way. That's about how far they move up. So really good range of motion at the shoulder. So that's good. Now here's where the articulation is going to get kind of weird, because he does have a full like a joint of articulation at the elbow, which does bend almost a full 90 degrees, but not quite. But this whole arm is so weird shaped. It does rotate around also. So it's got good articulation, like as far as the points of articulation, but just because of the anatomy of this character, like he's gonna be kind of awkward to pose in a lot of ways. But that's because of the design of the character. It's not because of any failing on the designer of the toy or the articulation of the toy. This is about as well articulated as this figure could be, I think. So Michelangelo can only kick up about that far because, again, he's got a shell that's in the way, and that's hard plastic. And it's on that same sort of joint as the I don't like this type of hip articulation. I would rather just had a regular ball joint, but it does rotate all the way around like that, where the hip meets the pelvis and then moves up. So you can get him to do the splits, no problem. It's just going to take a little bit of effort. He looks like Whoopi Goldberg on the Jumpin' Jack Flash poster right now. Anyway, and then he does have a single joint of articulation at the knee, just really stiff on mine. Bends back about that far. Look at that just thick turtle cankle he's got going on there. Like these are kind of more like regular turtle feet than later Ninja Turtle feet. And you can see they've got big claws at the end of. She probably should have more toes, but again, it was a cartoony drawing, and they were going for exaggeration. And frankly, if you can see how, like, if when they were drawing the comics, if they pushed a little bit more human anatomy onto them to get those feet to have the like ankles and things like that, which was probably necessary as far as drawing him in action poses and things like that. It was probably helpful towards that. But like I said, this is a really early, very cartoonish version of this character. He's almost like a Looney Tunes character. And something that I'm sure sharp-eyed viewers have already noticed, he's got the tail hanging down there, which, of course, they got rid of the tail in the original Playmates figures because, if you looked at it from the wrong angle, it looked kind of like, how do I put this? Kind of like a penis. Yeah, kind of like that. So they didn't want people looking at the toys and the packages in the stores, and it's like, well, I'm not buying my son a Ninja Turtle that has a dick. Sorry. Oh, by the way, while I was talking about articulation, I don't know if this really counts as a point of articulation, but you can rotate the I believe the nunchuck cuff, the wristband with the nunchuck attachment on it. I believe that does rotate all around as well. So you can move that however you feel like is appropriate to move this around. So, and one complaint that I have about this guy, and I think this is a little bit stronger than a nitpick, so I'm going to call it a complaint, is you probably noticed already the bottoms of his feet are completely hollowed out. And I think that that's really disappointing that they did that. That was a pretty cheap move to make. And I figure it was just to save a little bit of money on some plastic. But how am I supposed to have him kick a Foot Clan member in the face if he ain't got no soul? And I don't mean he ain't got no soul like Whitey ain't got no soul. I mean he ain't got no soul, S-O-L-E. I mean, if he was a girl, he would not be Quentin Tarantino's kind of girl. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Man, 2 episodes in a row, I've been making foot fetish jokes. People are going to start to think I have a foot fetish. But nobody really wants to be thinking about my fetishes anyway. So I'm sorry to put that idea into your brain. But it's my own personal business. Just don't worry about it. And Dracula fell over again. So, Drac, I'm sorry. One of these days, I'm going to find a permanent place to put you where you're not going to be constantly falling down. But for now, you're just going to stay right there. All right. So Michelangelo is a very cool figure, and I'm about to open up 3 more figures in the next few days that are going to be pretty much identical to this one. So of course we've got Michelangelo, we got Leonardo, we got Donatello. So the next episode is going to be Donatello, then Leonardo, and then Raphael, who is not the leader of the group, transformed from the norm by the nuclear goop. But he is my favorite Ninja Turtle, so I'm going to save him for last. But Michelangelo turned out really cool. And a lot of these are going to be like basically the same figure. There's going to be differences. We'll get into all that in the future. But for now, that's pretty much it for Michelangelo. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Michelangelo, and let me know who your favorite Ninja Turtle is. And YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. I like it when you leave comments, so I like to tell you to leave a comment and let me know what you think about the figure and the character in general and all that kind of fun stuff. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. And that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye. But I still got to hit the end stream button, so I don't know why I'm still... There we go.